This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Not too long ago, a pitch for a Captain Marvel TV show was in the works at Marvel, yet nothing eventually came of it. No news, no stories, nothing. Nobody would ever know that this ever happened. Until January 7th, 2018, a random YouTube video was uploaded by the supposed creator. In the description, the creator said that this video was the rough animation that they showed Marvel. They also mentioned that this project was cancelled, but the description was light. Everything else was unknown. Over a period of time, I really wanted to look into this and see what happened, and I have finally cracked it. Let me share with you what happened behind the scenes with this Captain Marvel TV show, and finally put this mystery to rest. I've done a ton of research on cancelled projects since Cutshort began, but I had never heard of this video specifically. In fact, nobody has. If you search for the story behind this random YouTube video, there's one article about it and it only recites what the video says itself. Nothing new. Nobody had ever looked into this. At the moment that I'm writing this script, it only has a couple thousand views. If you look at the video, it's a fairly rough animatic. This is pretty normal for early pitches of animated shows.
Now how am I going to explain how Carol Danvers survives this time? I'll deal with it later.
Now, like I said, it's a totally rough animatic. There's little sound effects in there, like a lightsaber sound effect that would never make the final cut. But this is usually how pitches go for animated TV shows. It's not supposed to look anywhere near finished. So when I discovered this video, I wanted to track down the creator itself. The only leads I had were this video, its description, and the name of the channel, Ben Bates. Obviously the name of the person who was behind this animatic. With no information out there, I needed to track down Ben Bates myself. So that's what I did. His name would definitely be useful, but what would really help me track him down was his description on the video. I'll read one of the first sentences here right now. Before I knew a movie was coming out, I developed an idea for a Captain Marvel animated series while I was working as a storyboard artist on Avengers Assemble. This is exactly what I needed to help me find him and learn more about this project. If you don't know, Avengers Assemble is a show on Cartoon Network that started back in 2013. It's still actually pretty popular to this day. So knowing Ben Bates worked on this is an awesome lead. I checked out his IMDb to see if this is true, if he actually worked on Avengers Assemble, and sure enough, if you scroll all the way down, you find him. Ben Bates. Storyboard artist, 32 episodes. We can then see on his profile that he also worked on the Guardians of the Galaxy cartoon. So he seems legitimate. Ben Bates is somewhere out there and he's the only one with the story of this mysterious YouTube video. I then just looked him up for any sort of social media and wow, okay, little bit of a scare there, but that is a different Ben Bates, okay, a close one. So turns out he's not dead. In fact, I found his Twitter right after this. I then tweeted at him, and at that point my job was done. All we could do was wait and hope he was willing to talk to us. And I didn't know it at the time, but he was certainly willing to talk about not only this cancelled Captain Marvel show, but he wanted to talk about much more, about what was going on with Marvel behind the scenes.
Can you hear me?
Hey man, yeah, I hear you great.
Great. So Brendan, hello.
So this guy that you're hearing right here, that's Ben Bates, the person we've been searching for. He was nice enough to reply to me and set up an interview. After a little bit of talking, the first thing that I wanted to ask him was why he wanted to make this Captain Marvel show for Marvel. The answer that I got was certainly not what I expected.
The key element, I suppose, is I don't like any of the cartoons that Marvel's made. Every single level is trash. Sometimes the animation is really good. Technically, meaning that the Koreans over there who are having to animate this garbage, they're doing a technically good job. And sometimes, of course, they're doing very badly. At least the way that Marvel Animation runs, we do the pre-production here, meaning that I board a section. Marvel then gives those out to freelance timers who, to put it bluntly, are out of touch. We send over a section of animation to Korea and they just execute. They're not hired to bring their own ideas into it. They're not hired to make things look better. This is what they're told to do, this is what they do. And that is part of the problem.
I talked to Ben for almost 2 hours that night about many different things, but what he was saying here was unexpected, to say the least. Ben is basically saying that behind the scenes, Marvel animation was broken. The way that they animate from America to Korea didn't work, and it ends up, well, as Ben puts it,
as trashy as it is.
But now that we know what's going on with Marvel behind the scenes back then, let's go into his canceled pitch and what happened there.
Initially, my idea was she would be the head of security for Stark, Tony Stark's, for Stark Enterprises, which I really love, but then Spider-Man Homecoming came out, and I was like, I can't keep mining that same area. I roped in my buddy. He was a fellow storyboard artist, Chris Staggs. I knew I couldn't do it all by myself, and so I forced him to help me do all this. And I think he'll be the first to say that he often never wanted to. The great thing about it, every time he said he didn't want to keep working on it, I would be like, let's go to lunch and figure this out. And he would do it. There was never a moment where he didn't help me when I asked him to help me. All right, so he and I together set up a lunch with Eric Radomski, the big boss. We do that through his secretary, because I almost never saw Eric. The dude's super busy. He's running 3 shows at least in a whole animation studio. We go to lunch, and I don't think he had any idea that we were going to try and pitch something. But like everybody else, he's like, oh, yeah, we've never done that. But he was really enthusiastic about it. I had drawn a poster or something like that for the series would look like. All he did was look at that image. And he never asked once about the story. He was like, oh yeah, okay, cool, this sounds great. Let's, I've never done a pitch before. You guys go away, make an animatic for me, and we'll send it to Marvel New York and see what they say. Now, there's some interesting background information here that I was not aware of at the time, but I would find out about a week later after the lunch. Marvel Animation was being stripped down at the best. Like Avengers Assemble, that show got canceled. Guardians of the Galaxy got canceled. Everything about the studio got shut down. And I think that during that lunch, he knew that things were getting closed down. And lo and behold, here comes this person saying, hey, maybe we can pitch the show, something that hadn't been done before. I think that he saw a way to possibly survive this coming change. After this lunch, I never talked to him again. Marvel New York had no idea what I was doing, right? And I wanted to be able to truly pitch a show, not just a little teaser. I wanted to truly say, here's what this show would be. Here's what season 1 and 2 are. Here's what episode 1's whole script is. And this is, and for the animatic, I thought it was, since we were doing a board-driven show, I thought it would be really important to do a full, simple story, beginning, middle, end, which is ultimately what I did create. But it took months, and I was doing this in my off time, because this is all essentially a passion project. I still was doing my day job as a board artist, and then tinkering on this thing, in my off time. So it took months. And again, like Eric Radomski, he doesn't know any of this. He doesn't know that I hired voice actors. He doesn't know that I created a 5-minute animatic short, because by the time I was ready to show it to him, the atmosphere at Marvel Animation had gotten really dark. The announcement had been made that things are shutting down, shows are ending, people are going to have to, go off and find new jobs. And I think that, this is again all speculation on my part, I think Eric Radomski was so miserable that he personally had no more interest in it. He just had the secretary tell me that Marvel New York was not interested in any pitches whatsoever. 100% across the board, they don't give a fuck. And perhaps a mistake I had made as well was once I started creating this pitch, I was pretty free about just letting the rest of the team know, like, hey, this is what I'm doing, check this out, let me get your ideas on this. And I had since learned that a lot of other people then tried to also start developing pitch materials. And so I think Eric Radomski was getting hassled by a lot of other people. I probably should have kept it to myself.
so I really want to thank Ben Bates for doing that entire interview that you just heard. The original interview, like I mentioned before, was 2 hours long. There's a lot of great stuff in there, but I had to cut it down a lot, so I want to thank Ben Bates for doing all of this. I have his YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram handle right there. You should absolutely check him out if you want to. I also want to thank our sponsor for this week, which is ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN is one of those companies that you feel like you see everywhere on YouTube as sponsorships and such, but I think it's with good reason. They sell a super neat product that really helps you and protects you. ExpressVPN protects your internet privacy on so many different occasions. I remember once I was at a public library studying and I wanted to take a break to check up on social media. But the library Wi-Fi was public, so it's a real risk to have my data, including my social media passwords, just completely unprotected. I ended up having to use the incredibly slow and open Wi-Fi because it seemed like I didn't really have a choice. My situation could have been entirely avoided with ExpressVPN. Not only is ExpressVPN fast, it also protects your data, unlike the public Wi-Fi I had to use. This is definitely my preferred way of how I use ExpressVPN now, mostly as a way to secure my data with no risks involved. It's incredibly easy to use, and it is consistently faster than any other VPN provider. You can take back your internet privacy today. You can go into the description and click on the link expressvpn.com/cutshort, and you can get 3 months free. If you use the link you see here, it's not only 3 months free, but after that it's less than $7 a month. They also include a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you're not happy with it, there's no risk involved. So again, you can go to expressvpn.com/cutshort, and you can find out how to protect your internet privacy. Also, if you're a returning subscriber or someone who's just kind of watched for a while, you've probably seen the big hiatus on the channel. It's kind of long to get into it right now, but I posted a big thing about it on Twitter. If you head over there right now, you can read all about it. Hopefully it explains everything pretty well. Thanks for watching Cutshort, everybody. It means the world to me.